Today on Great Places Seen, I embark on a long early year trip to beat unusually cold winter weather. First heading south for stops in the Carolinas and Florida, before taking a sharp turn west to skirt along Gulf waters. Head through the huge state of Texas, barely outrunning deep snow that rarely dips that far south. Continuing, I cross into deserts and mountains to reach California, before traveling along the southern U.S. border and turning slightly north to cross through more desert lands and high plains, as more great locations in the vast U.S. West reveal their wonders. I rode a wave of unexpected warm weather through the center of the country before I crossed the Mississippi River to explore points along southern Appalachia on the long path toward home. Buckle up and come along for the ride over the next several weeks as we roll on an epic road trip to start 2025. It's cold, well below freezing, and windy. 8 inches of snow fell yesterday. Another 6 inches could be added tomorrow night. I'm planning to leave the next morning.
The advantages of a teardrop trailer in the snow: it just slides off the back. I've had this trailer now for 3 years. This will be the first trip I'm taking it out in somewhat of a snowstorm. So I dug out the one wheel that was covered up by the snowplow, gave myself a little hitch room. Should be good to go. There really was no accumulation on this side to speak of, so that was helpful. I get the added benefit of all that snow on top of the trailer landing behind it, so I don't have to shovel it to get my trailer out. As in covering the trailer, I had fear of taking the cover off with all the snow on it, that it would be quite an ordeal, but very simple, pretty fast, and that's nice. I'm not sure what the weight of the cover is. I've been hauling it around since I've had the trailer. It's probably a good 40 pounds or so, and that's weight that I don't need for this trip. So home it goes, where I can spread it out in the garage and get it rolled up properly, dried out, and ready for next time. I'm going to check my battery real quick. I had it turned off, plus the cover was over the solar panel. And look at that. The batteries have weathered well, fully charged in sub-freezing temperature for several weeks, through a snowstorm, and with the cover on the trailer. I'm happy with that. Even with the batteries in excellent shape, I'm getting some late afternoon sun up there on the solar panel. That's going to help keep them charged up. In the past, I've taken my batteries out for the winter and just had them at home at room temperature and charged them up once a month just to keep them in great shape. This was the first winter that I've left them in the trailer, and so far so good. And this has been the harshest winter so far since I've had the trailer. So that's a success. Now that the snow is off, I'm going to pack my frozen food in, and it's ready to roll. With the water off, of course, and everything winterized, I don't have to worry about the sink, so the sink now becomes a storage pantry for all of my breakfast items. You know, as I travel along, I'm going to work all this food down anyway, so it will be diminishing as I travel and easier to store and keep track of. Temperatures will be below freezing for tonight and tomorrow, so by the time I leave, everything will still be very cold, and as a result, I can put a lot of refrigerated items in now and frozen food so that I don't have to worry about it when I'm leaving. I'm aiming for as quick and simple a hitch and go as I can have. So with frozen things loaded up, that saves me a lot of time and trouble. And I've got plenty of food stored for this trip. Nice to have a natural refrigerator once in a while. Works to your advantage. I could go to the store and buy things along the way, but I already had it, so might as well bring the food with me. So now my only question is, what will the weather be like when I leave early Saturday morning? I'm aiming for 6 a.m. There's supposed to be more snow coming in beginning at 2 a.m. So there could be a little coating on the trailer, not nearly as much as what I just took off of it. So that's not going to be an issue. It'll be more driving conditions, how fast I can go, and how that's going to impact my travel south. My biggest travel issue really isn't the snow that's going to fall here as I leave. It's going to be ice further down the road in Virginia, North Carolina. Hopefully, by the time I get to those points, temperatures will warm up a bit, ice won't be a factor, and hopefully it won't slow down traffic beforehand. We'll find out. Well, that's the first part of my trip, and so far it's gone very well. I do have a couple of neighbors here. This one's a 2025. Nice.
It's essentially deserted in what is usually one of the busiest areas of one of the busiest cities anywhere. People are inside staying warm, waiting for the next round of winter weather to arrive. I think the weather people are enjoying this a little too much, drawing circles and lines on areas I hope to move through with little trouble, splashing the screen with cheerful bright colors that actually mean ominous things. It's a fast-moving winter storm that most likely won't be a problem, but sometimes they are. I was toying with the idea of leaving Friday night and getting ahead of it, but clearly that's not going to work, so I'll deal with the aftermath on Saturday. Circles, colors, more circles. Yeah, they even had to name it.
Good morning from the road. Underway finally, after digging out from about, I guess 4 inches of snow locally around the trailer. I don't know if maybe it was less and some blew on it or whatever, but that's all clear. I was able to get the trailer out okay, and now on the road.
Things are looking pretty good for the most part. A lot of people staying home with the snow out there. If you have to go out, use caution. Shoulders, ramps, bridges, that's where we've seen the most issues this morning.
Lots of glare because the sun is out and the roads are wet. Traffic is fairly light, and the real question is, how will the roads be by the time I get to North Carolina, South Carolina, even southern Virginia? Pretty bad with ice and snow overnight. The good news is, because I got a late start and it's about 9:30 in the morning, by the time I hit those areas, temperatures should rise, which will make road conditions a lot better. So I'm looking forward to that.
Wet roads for today, but a refreeze again tonight as those temperatures dip into the teens and 20s.
Hopefully everybody is driving well and calm. I've seen only one accident so far, not backing up traffic in any way. I just have to navigate my way through the Washington DC area, the Beltway 495, and then the always fun I-95 South in Northern Virginia. So once I get through those areas, I'm hoping that it's actually going to be a pretty good travel day. So we'll find out. Because I'm leaving late, it's possible, very probable, I guess now, that I'll be arriving after dark. It's not really a concern. I'd like to get in before dark, obviously, but all I need to do tonight is just back in and hook up the power, and I'm fine. So let's see how travel is today, after Winter Storm Cora has blown through. Heading south on Interstate 95.
I tend to take few breaks on long drives, although I do want to double check everything since today's travel has the added layer of potential weather-related issues. There's plenty of snow just north of Richmond, but the sun is mostly out and so far the roads have been great. I'll take this rest stop break to mention GreatPlacesSeen 2, the companion channel with lots of extra video from this and other episodes on the main channel. Check it out. Videos are sorted by playlists to help you choose what to see. Now back to the road. An armada of snowplows, the first I've seen, and they appear to have finished their work. My appreciation and thanks to these weather first responders.
I have seen some other winter travelers out here.
Along with a few other RVs on the road are plenty alongside the road, quietly waiting for the snow to melt from their roofs and one day begin their journeys along these same roads. Traffic is building through Richmond as people realize the road crews have done an excellent job overnight. I'm passing by Main Street Station, now a Virginia Welcome Center and landmark I used to look for going back and forth between home and college. Which, come to think about it, while I'm crossing the James River, I've now been driving for 50 years. Wow. Here comes another Porsche braving the cold. Mine can keep pace pretty well with a turbo Boxster, but that Boxster can't tow a trailer or go off-road very well. Advantage, Cayenne. Many of you have been on I-95. You know it's mostly a long, boring highway in between some really busy towns and cities. With today's speed limits, it's about 3.5 hours in both Virginia and North Carolina. I almost missed the welcome sign through my salt-covered windshield.
Here's where the brunt of that ice storm was hitting last night. All clear this afternoon.
And suddenly, all traces of snow and ice are gone.
You would never know a major ice storm came through here last night. 44 degrees now outside.
I'm definitely happy about this. All my weather concerns have melted away.
Here is the definition of a small town.
Traffic, for the most part, remains light. It's light itself that I'm now competing with, and how far I can get before I lose it. It's still winter, which means darkness comes very early, about 5 o'clock. The sun is dropping as a familiar tower comes into sight. South of the border means I'm crossing into South Carolina. The golden hour light guides me as I roll toward the state's so-called low country. I originally wasn't planning to drive south this way. I wanted to use Interstates 81 and 77. But the developing snow and ice storm shifted my route east toward the coast. So my destination today is Santee State Park, right next to I-95. It's one of the many last itinerary changes I'd make in the coming weeks. Today's travel covered 507 miles, or 815 kilometers. It was the longest distance I had plotted out in a rough draft of a cross-country trip I wasn't completely sure about taking, mostly depending on how I felt after staying in Florida several days and what the weather looked like. Before I run out of daylight and gas, I'm going to fuel up so I'll have a solid start for the next leg of the journey. I set out with almost no plans, which in the end worked out well, as I was flexible to make many last-minute adjustments. I had 4 main stops, 3 of which I did make, but more about that in later episodes. Right now I'm rapidly losing light and entering the dark with a full moon behind me, much as I had thought earlier after a later-than-planned start. Short daylight hours would definitely be a consideration for this long winter road trip. And of course, if I could get some good weather. My biggest concern is what might conditions be like going home. Winter has already been very harsh across most of the country, and more is to come. Fortunately today, the roads and traffic were great, so I had only a short way through the dark to find my campsite, plug in, and get some rest. Look, a giant giraffe. I wonder what that's all about. I'm staying 2 nights, so I have a full day to explore the park and get the trailer dewinterized, sanitized, and all set up for the rest of the trip. Thanks for keeping me company on my escape from the snow. I hope you'll be back as we're just getting started. Good night for now. Next time on Great Places Seen, I hop on the bike to explore Santee State Park, with its abundant moss-covered trees on the shores of Lake Marion, the largest lake in South Carolina. Beyond its shimmering blue water and aquatic wonders, we turn our sights along paths inland, as we roll past residents digging in, while underground caverns reveal themselves to our world above. Be sure to hop on board as we watch together.